The record. Okay, so today's lesson we're going to talk about Japan's COVID situation, and I think it's becoming a bit more serious. I think a lot of countries, ever since like Taiwan has become more stable, I think I've heard like in Korea and Japan, there's a lot more that's been going on, and I sort of think it has to do with how the government is handling it and how they're communicating with the citizens about the whole situation. Like, if the government feels that it's not very serious or it's not that important, I feel that usually would the citizens would feel safe or feel okay to go out or won't think it's so serious. But I think that kind of counterbalances, or it like makes it even worse. So I think today we can talk a little bit about that and how Taiwan situation has been and what other countries can learn from it. So let's start with the first paragraph, Evan, and then the second paragraph, Rita.
Okay. A near of jaded awareness, near fatalism even hands over Japan's COVID-19 fight. As the public discourse shifted from post-COVID-19 to which COVID-19, since then people are largely treating it as a given that COVID-19 will be here to stay. Daily cases tallies are greeted with a shrug, and it's not so bad here, even when the numbers may raise eyebrows elsewhere.
Despite a sluggish vaccination campaign that was has slowed the spread of infections, Japan is still not resorting to lockdowns and circuit breakers like other nations.
Okay, so what do you think about the Japanese attitude on this? And do you think Japan has been doing a good job with COVID so far? Rita, what do you think about this?
I think I think the government and the public are their attitude like pretty different. I think because like I think the public start to not take it that seriously, and on the other hand, the government is trying their best to uh, solve the issue. But I think Japan is the country that is not only focused on like healthcare because they also focus on the national development. So they also focus on like, economy and many different areas. So they try really hard to find a balance, but I think the government is trying really hard to do that, but the public just tend to focus on their personal lives. They want to like earn monies and they will just go out, but they don't realize that if you go out more frequently, you may make the whole situation worse. So I think they are trying to find a balance, especially the Olympic Games is coming really soon. So I think they are have so many things to deal with and they are trying to figure out what is the best solution for the whole situation.
Okay. Evan, what do you think about what Rita said?
Mm. Yeah, I agree that Japanese government is distracted by other important events in the future, like Olympic Games, and yeah, and I don't know, but uh, I think because I hear a lot in our news, but I didn't really try to delve into what the real situation in Japan. And because the news said that Japan announced some emergency announcement, but I didn't try to understand what the content it is. So it like the lockdown in the US or in the Europe, or it's only like the restriction in Taiwan. I don't really understand it, but by what I heard from the news, I think it's not a real lockdown in Japan. I think in Japan, um, they always keep a somewhat open or freedom to their citizens. So I think that is why it is very difficult for them to contain the virus.
Right. Okay. Let's move on to some discussion questions. I think there's a lot that we can discuss here. So the sense of crisis has not really sunk into the public. It is an entirely different world outside the hospital. This is quoted by a Japanese doctor. What do you think about this, Evan? Like, as a doctor, do you agree with the situation you're seeing here? And how is it different than what we're seeing here in Taiwan?
I don't know. I think even in Taiwan, it's even in the hospital, there are also different world in the hospital, because in different departments, the doctors do different things. So some doctors becomes very busy because of the COVID, but some doctors some doctors, they are more relaxed. For example, because I'm a specialist of digestive medicine, so during the pandemic, I had a lot of holidays, or sometimes I only have to spend 4 hours a day in my work. So I have more free times. But the doctors who care the patients in the intensive care unit, they are busier than before, and they are more patients and somewhat exhausted. So I think even in the hospital, they are different world, and it is the same that outside of the hospital, people might not feel the crisis in the hospital. And yeah, so I think I can totally empathetic with what Japanese doctor said.
Okay. And for Rita, do you think the policy for COVID is affected by the Olympic Games, which is what everyone has been saying? Like, even right before the Olympic Games started, even though the numbers weren't really decreasing, Japan just opened up everything. So what do you think about that?
I think from my observation, I don't really know about like the details of the policy, but I think that Japan is a country really focused on like reputation and how the other country think about this country. So if that they can be like the country that have the Olympic Games that proves that everyone kind of recognize this country, and they want to, because that all around the world, every country is affected by COVID-19, and maybe Japan want to prove that we can overcome this crisis. So they want to make the whole game like successfully, but like the whole situation just getting worse. So I think that yes, it will be affected by the Olympic Games because they still want to like do the games, but they don't know how to handle it for like they don't really know how to like handle it more carefully. So I think yes, it will be affected, but I don't know the details, so I cannot say too much about this.
Evan, do you have any like anything you think that you would like to share about the Olympic Games? Have you been following it?
I heard that the problem between Japanese government and the Olympic Games, because they had a contract with the committees, and because the contract, they cannot cancel the game by the government, and there might be a lot of restrictions or some or limitations for the government to cancel the Olympic Games, or they have to pay a lot of money to the committees. So that is why it is so difficult for them to cancel the game. That is what I know.
Oh, so they're not allowed to cancel a game. But I also think it's also because they spent so much money on trying to, for everyone, because this will help their economy so much if people are going to Japan to watch the Olympics, right?
Yeah, but now the Olympic game is valued as the game lost a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of places, like a lot of hotels or a lot of the community, they've all probably been preparing for the Olympics for a while because it's a really big thing. And now it's not happening, or people are not going over to Japan to watch Olympics. And I think it's probably going to put the country in debt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next question about schools are also kept open as they are deemed low risk. I think it's a little bit strange. Do you think this is a good idea? Why or why not? Evan, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think I don't know, but I think if the Japanese government, they have enough coverage of the vaccine of the old peoples, it could be deemed a low risk, because most students and teachers in the schools are younger than the most people. So so even though they can check the virus, it is very it's rarely for them to develop into more severe disease. So I think it might make sense for me under the current situation. I know that about the vaccine coverage in Japan, the full dose is about 20%. So if we think about that, the 20% are most older people, I think it might make sense. But I do not know the real data there.
Okay. And Rita, what do you think about this?
I think this one is really different from what Taiwan is doing right now, because Taiwan doesn't like open school, and they think that, because the reason that why Taiwan don't open school, they think that the interaction between the younger kids are really close and really frequent. So is that one person got it, it will spread out really quickly. So I think, yes, I don't know the data, but maybe the school will be one of the reasons why the cases is keep going up recently, maybe.
Okay.
Because there are so many people will go there.
Right. So like if you're in class, that's basically like you're in class with 30 other people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But why do you think that they say it's low risk though? Does that seem logical? Or why do you think that they make everyone seem like it's not a big deal?
Maybe, I don't know, like, because I kind of understand why Taiwanese government think that school will bring higher risks for the spread. So I think maybe Japan has a different situation, or they think a lot of people got vaccinated, so maybe it's low risk. I don't know much about the real situation, but I think that school, if you open school, they definitely make the whole situation like put it in danger.
Right. The kids, right? Especially now, kids can't get the vaccine. Right? Is it right now there's only one vaccine that teenagers can get, but younger kids, they can't get it. right? So what do you
Yeah.
think as parents? Evan, you're a parent. What do you think of if the school did not close? Would you still allow your kid to go to school?
If I didn't get vaccinated, I would not allow them go to the school.
Okay, if you were not, why do you
Yeah.
specifically say you?
Yeah, because I think I think we should care about who the children will contact every day. And if I didn't get vaccinated and the children went to the school, they might get the virus, and that will increase the risk of the disease. And but if I have gotten vaccinated, I think I will not afraid of the virus, and it will be very low risk for me to have to get severe disease. So I can accept if I can allow them go to the school if their parents are all get vaccinated.
Okay, so yeah, I think it's a little bit dangerous for that. So to go to the school, right? Don't forget the two here. Okay, great. So let's move on to the next part here. We're going to talk about what would you do if the COVID situation in Japan happens in Taiwan? So right now, Taiwan is controlling it quite well. But what would you do if Taiwan was getting worse and you still saw a bunch of people that don't care, they're going out, they go traveling in Taiwan, they're not really wearing their mask or feeling that it's very serious? What would you do differently? Okay, let Rita go first.
I think I would just stay at home. Try to not to go out, and then try to tell other people that maybe staying at home is a good option for you. And try to like if my company asked me to go to the office, I would try to convince them that maybe it's not a good way to like allow people to go to the office because the whole situation is really bad. So like from what I can do as like a person, I would just not go out and not to avoid any interaction with like other people. That's what I will do. But I don't know like how I can change other people's thoughts, especially if I'm like in Japan in like the country really focus on economy and everything like the national development or something. Maybe I would think differently. But like I'm tiny, so I would just stay at home.
Okay, Evan,
So
what
that's
about
why
you? Is there any other ideas that you can provide?
Yeah, I think if Taiwan has the same situation as Japan, I think we have to lock down, and we have to raise the coverage of vaccination. And by lockdown, I think maybe we can only allow some vital industry to open their business, and most people they have to stay at home. And by raising the coverage of vaccination, I think we if we were Japan, I think we have to use the AstraZeneca in Japan, and because I don't know why Japanese they don't want to get AstraZeneca, and they donate a lot of AstraZeneca vaccine to other countries such as Taiwan. And if they can they can keep the AstraZeneca in Japan, I think they might increase their coverage of vaccination more quickly compared with current situation.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. Yeah. So I think that Taiwan is doing a really great job right now. It's like today, I think it was like there's one in Taipei. It was like 8 around the whole country. What do you guys think that on the 26th that we have a chance to go back to level 2? What do you think about that personally? Like everyone wishes that it will happen, but do you think that it would be a good solution or a good kind of like a risk? Evan, what do you think about that?
I think, yeah, I don't know, but I think we have to try. But maybe, but we have to monitor the situation seriously, because if we do not try, we will not know how many people they actually had the disease now, because as I know, the current rate of screens is very low compared with the situation in May. And for example, one of my colleagues, he works in the Tuchen Hospital, and he said in May, the screen station have the 4 lines for screening, but now only open 1 line for screening. So apparently that the amount of screening is lower than June and May. So we don't know how many people they are asymptomatic in our communities. Only we open our society, we will know how many is that really there are very few virus in our communities, or there are still a lot of virus, but most of them are infected young people and they are asymptomatic. So I think we have to try, because our country, we still have to develop our economy, because of the virus. A lot of business they closed for 2 months, especially the restaurants, and they had a very difficult time. So I think I think the government have to attempt to open a little and to monitor what the situation goes on, and they can decide to keep open, or they have to impose more restriction. So that is my idea.
So what's the difference between level 3 and level 2? Does everyone still have to wear their masks, or is it that there's more places can be opened and you can eat indoors?
No. I think I don't really know the detail of the restriction, but I think in the difference between level 2 and 3 is that the restriction of people indoor, like now we can not more than 5 people indoor activity is not allowed, but in level 2 it may be allowed more than 5 people, but I don't know how many people is allowed. But I think the restaurant, the indoor activities might be permitted, but the number of people might have somewhat restriction.
Okay, Rita, what do you think about this?
I think maybe like wait until like September will be a safer option, because that even though many people can got vaccinating, but they haven't got their second dose yet. So maybe we can wait until like most of the people got their second dose, and then like I think September will be better. But like from like August, maybe you can like open some business, but not like open up all the like traveling or not really necessary going out activities. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I think it's more of less activity, maybe indoors, and still for everyone to remember that they should wash their hands or they should have their masks on. I think is quite important. I think Taiwan is probably the best at doing that. And I also found that there's people that they are more inclined to telling other people to do things. Like even for me, when I see, like if I'm out and I go skateboarding and I see there's kids that are not wearing it, I think sometimes they may think like they're the cool kids, right? Because it's cool not to wear a mask. But then I think if other children see the cool kids are not wearing it, they would want to take it off too. So then I think this is when like we have to do something and let them know that, hey, it's not okay. Like you still need to wear your mask if you want to do or come here to hang out with everyone, right? Because I think now it's more of a privilege. It's not really a right anymore because we're all trying to contain the virus. So I think everyone should try to put in the effort, even though I know it's really hard because it's really hot outside. But if you want to come out, then I think it's something that you need to be willing to do. And I see that on the streets as well. And I see people like yelling. I heard like people yelling about the people on the streets are not wearing the mask and they're like, put your mask on. And it's just really funny. Yeah. So what about you guys? Like, do you guys think that you guys are like that? Like you guys would be willing to tell other people to remind them, obviously in a nice way, right? You don't want to be mean, but
Yeah.
are you like that? Or are you just kind of like, oh, you mind your own business? Evan, what would you do? Like if you saw someone on the street not wearing a mask, would you just walk over and just like ignore him?
Yeah, I hope I can remind them to wear their mask. But actually, I remember last week I went jogging and I saw a man. He didn't wear a mask, but I didn't remind him, I just run across him by a long distance because I'm afraid of he might have virus on his body. So
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you would choose to stay away from him.
Yeah.
Rita, what about you?
If I'm with like my friend or my family member, I think I would talk with my family or my friend first, and then one of us will go together and remind the person to wear their mask.
Oh, really? So you will be more inclined to say it if you're with someone else.
Yeah, but if I'm alone, maybe I will not do that.
Okay. Why? Are you like afraid or something?
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit afraid of the person will be angry.
Okay.
Yeah, because there are so many news on TV shows that even the police officer reminds someone and the person just really angry and shouted at them.
At them? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe, yeah.
Okay. So you're more like afraid of, I thought you might be the type of person who would just remind them because it's not really like a big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But okay, interesting. Like maybe safety issues. Okay, so let's do the role play. And the role play we're going to have, I think I want to focus on, since we already have a doctor here, so I think we need to make it a little bit harder. So we're going to talk more about citizens and the Olympic athletes. So Evan, you're going to be the Olympic athletes, and then Rita, you're going to be the Japanese citizens. Okay.
Okay.
So here's a little bit background about them. I think if you like, you can take like 1 or 2 minutes to sort of try to build up your argument and look something up really quickly, and then we'll come back in, let's say, 2 minutes. Okay. Okay.